So, BlackWidow exhaust system installation. So first thing we need to do is obviously remove the seat, and then secondly we have to remove the lambda sensor. So lambda sensor, there was a cable tie around here, so we've moved that. Cable tie there, so we had to remove that. And then up in the back here, the connector is actually down in here. There's a black connector there, so that needs to be disconnected. And we can pull it back through, and then we can hopefully remove the lambda sensor once we get the exhaust off. So that's the next job. Okay, that's the black connector disconnected, and then we'll just feed the wire and cable back through behind the frame and down behind the exhaust. Okay, so next challenge is that this black cable, the connector for the lambda sensor, is actually threaded behind the rear brake reservoir, as you can see in there. So we actually need to take off the front of this panel. You could take off the whole thing. It's just enough just to loosen the bolt for the rear brake reservoir. We'll drop that forward, and then we can get the cable and the connector through the back and drop down behind the frame. Okay, so that's the lambda sensor connector removed from behind the frame. 8mm socket to get the brake reservoir off. Just put it back in there so I don't lose it, but left it nice and loose so I don't forget. Next up is we need to undo the clamp bolt on the exhaust. We need to loosen that off, and also the one in there, which is going to be a bit of a challenge to get to. So a 12mm socket to loosen off the rear header clamp. That piece will actually remain on the back of the engine, as you'll see from the photo that I took. The pipe just clamps onto there, so it saves you getting access to the rear cylinder head, which will be a bit of a nightmare. So as you can see, the two bolts removed from the front exhaust section, and this clamp loosened, and this bolt here removed, and this one here loosened off, and the exhaust clamp in there loosened off. It gives you enough slack to remove that first, and that make everything else a lot easier. That's ready just to come out now. So that is that removed. You'll notice that when you do try and remove it, you don't have the angle and leverage with the side stand down. So you need to go on the side stand and just pull it backwards and down, and it comes straight out. So in the interest of science and doing a thorough review, I have here an old fishing spring weight. So I don't know if you can see that, but that is just short of, what's that, it's 18 pounds. I'm not sure how well calibrated this is. It's a few years old, but that, it's got to be nigh on 8 kilos. So what we'll do is we'll take this off, and in the interests of science and modern technology, we also have here, if it works, come on. We also have here a modern set of scales. That's me just holding that so the exhaust doesn't fall over. But as you can see there, that is 7.8 kilos. What a weight for an exhaust system. So I found out that the new exhaust and the connectors are actually so light that it won't even register on the scales. So I've just weighed them, and they're actually, the can itself is about 2 kilos, and the pipes themselves weigh about 1 kilo. So it's about, all in all, it's about 3 kilos. And so you're talking at least 5 kilos in weight saving, ditching the standard exhaust. So 5 bags of sugar, I dare say that's make a big difference once to the handling. Should hopefully feel the bike be a bit more nimble and agile as well. Not that it was that bad anyway, but yeah, it just shows that a bit of weight saving should be good. So installation. New header pipe is on. Bolts are back in, finger tight, reusing the existing gasket. Stress for anyone that hasn't done this before that you definitely don't want to be hammering them in with a ratchet just yet until it's all connected together, and you can adjust the fitting and make it so it fits properly, because we're going to have to wiggle this around a little bit to get it to fit. So definitely only finger tight first, and then we'll take it from there. So new clamp on loose, new bolt in loose. Now we'll fit the lambda sensor onto the new exhaust. Well, the locals are making a lot of noise at breakfast this morning. Anyway, so that's the downpipe on, header on, header pipe on in here. That is now, is that actually coming through in there? Can't you see that? There we go. So that's the header pipe on, although it's not tightened up completely. Just tightened up enough so it didn't slide down the tube while I offered it up to the clamp, and now it's clamped on and tight. So it does help if you've got long arms, because you can actually reach over the top of the bike from the other side, run the other side, and you can tighten it on that way. But I've just noticed that, pardon me, putting this on, you do need a bit of wiggle room here to get these tubes on. So I think what we're going to have to do is, because of the angle that the link pipe needs to go onto, we'll have to remove the pillion footpeg. Well, she's on. Get the footpeg hanger out of the way, and gives you a bit more wiggle room to get the header on the downpipes. And just another nice little touch here is the BlackWidow on the spring rubber covers there. It's quite a neat little addition, and nice attention to detail. The spring puller. Can't reach it. There we go. Really is, yeah, a welcome addition to the pack. It made it a lot easier to get the springs on. Although they weren't too tight, to be fair. Sometimes you find that when I've used long nose pliers before, they're yeah, quite difficult to use. But yeah, no, these went on no problem at all, and that's it all offered up now. So we'll look at tightening up the header, and we'll look at getting the exhaust can on. So yeah, we're just about there. There we go, the finished article. Looking pretty good. The only thing I did miss when I mentioned earlier is there's actually a little black grommet underneath here. So that allows you to take this panel off. So that's the reservoir all tight, the connectors back on, tie wrap back in place. All this is tight. It's all polished. All the exhaust header work is now degreased. I just use WD-40, but you could use isopropyl alcohol or whatever you want to use. So yeah, it looks pretty good. So let's fire up. So this is with the baffle in. I'll probably do a separate video once it's out in the open. Check for leaks. I don't think there are any. Nope. Very slight leak there. So we'll adjust that. I'll adjust that clamp and move it, and it should be good. So there we go. Yeah, a minor leak here. It's only because that bracket's not it's not actually not quite square with the pipe work. So I'll move that up and reclamp that, and then that'll be it. So there you go. BlackWidow exhaust system installation on a 2019 Vstrom 650. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.